Anyone else see that President Trump wants to ban e-cigarettes, flavored e-cigarettes? And he did a little interview about it, talking about how it's becoming a big problem because kids are coming home and they're telling mommy and daddy that they want to vape, and the mom and dad doesn't know what that means. Vape? What's that? That the newest millennial trend or something? Newest Gen Z trend? And so President Trump has to save Americans from themselves. Why? Because the children. And this goes back to something that, a couple things actually, but one thing that I always like to say, that what about the children is the most cowardly yet most effective argument in American politics. What about the children? How often do we hear this? What about the children? You know, some of you kids are, you've grown up in a world where the internet has always existed. But before the internet, if you ever want to watch TV, the TV and the radio were heavily regulated by the FCC. As Eminem once said, the FCC won't let me be or let me be me, so let me see. They try to shut me down on MTV. But there were speech controls, a variety of speech controls on radio and television. Because what about the children? They had to regulate it in the prurient interest, because we couldn't have children just turning on the TV and seeing boobs fly out during the Super Bowl, or hear foul language. Sexual language, so we needed safe harbor hours. We needed speech regulations, because what about the children? Same thing with the war on drugs. What about the children? Now, children should not be doing drugs. But I would say that the war on drugs is definitely partly rooted in the desire to protect children. What about public education? Why do we have public education? Because we can't trust the free markets to provide affordable education for everyone. And what if a kid grows up in poverty and his parents are deadbeats and either are unwilling to send their kids to school, or they just simply can't afford it? That kid's going to grow up without an education. They're not going to know how to read, know how to do math, and they're not going to be valuable on the labor market. They're not going to be able to take care of themselves. So we need to raise everyone's property taxes and provide education for all the children, because what about the children? Look at one of the food stamp programs. It's literally called Women, Infants, and Children's. Women, Infants, and Children. I'm sounding like an idiot now. Women, Infants, and Children's. It's called WIC. Women, Infants, and Children. Why? Because what about the children? Look at the gun debates. Look at what the gun grabbers are trying to do. They see all these mass shootings, especially at schools. They're saying we can't allow kids to get shot up. And I agree. I don't like seeing kids get shot, but they're using that as an excuse to try to take everyone's guns away. What about the children? Abortion restrictions, even from conservatives. What do they say when they talk about abortion? The anti-abortionists. They say, hey, that's a baby in there, and you're killing the baby if you have an abortion. Women shouldn't have a right to decide what goes on in their own bodies. What about the children? Because what about the children? What about the children? A lot of treasure in there. Hillary Clinton once called for video game regulations Back in, what, 2006, 2007? She called for video game regulations because, hey, video games, they're too violent, they're too perverse. And parents don't know which games are appropriate and not appropriate for their children to play, so we need some regulation. Why? Because what about the children? What about the children? And it just never stops, as you can see today. President Trump, the philosopher king of our time. Hey, we can't let flavored vape pens and e-cigarettes onto the market because what about the children? Wasn't there a law in England that passed not too long ago about how food companies aren't allowed to put cartoon mascots on their brands anymore, like breakfast cereals and whatnot? Why not? Because you're targeting children. Can't have that going on. We don't want children getting addicted to unhealthy snacks. What's wrong with you guys? What about the children? What about me? I don't have any children. I enjoy the occasional e-cigarette. What is he saying? Yeah, I'd love to see people turn into fish. This guy's like that girl from what was it? The Shape of Water. That gets her cherry popped by a fish. What a disgusting movie. I didn't hate it that much, but oh well. But another reason why we get all these regulations, and it's kind of an offshoot of the What About the Children's, but it's basically based on the assumption that people are too dumb, too immoral, and or too irresponsible to be trusted to live in a free society. People can't, we need more opioid restrictions because people don't know what they're putting into their bodies and they get addicted to opioids and they might get addicted to heroin. Can't trust companies to behave properly in the free market. Need antitrust regulations. Need regulations on guns because even though most gun owners are responsible, everyone's guns got to be taken away because we can't trust everyone to have a gun. Which is true, but I guess we got to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Because people can't be trusted to own a gun. Got to take everyone's money, take a little bit of money from everyone's paycheck to put aside for their retirement because people, they're too irresponsible. They won't put away for their own retirement, so government has to take money out of your paycheck to set aside for your retirement. We call it Social Security. Yeah, get out of bed, you little chump. I need that net.